Okay, this episode is about mouse traps, catching mice around your campsite and rats. Now, out in the desert, and that's out I'm going to go into a technique I have learned, which is outdoors. So the technique inside would be different. This is if you're camping out where there's rats and mice and rodents and all that kind of stuff, and some of them will wreak havoc on your vehicle. I recommend, people leave their hoods open during the day. That's not going to do anything. That'll prevent the rodents from making a nest on, in your engine compartment, but it's not going to prevent them from going in there to eat your wires and plastic fittings and rubber and all that stuff. They will still gnaw away at nighttime. They come out at night. They're not out during the day. So keeping your hood open during the day will only prevent them from making a nest in there. But they're still going to be able to climb up your sidewall of your tires and get into your engine compartment or anywhere in your vehicle, literally, and they'll start gnawing on your wires. I just saw a guy, he had $2,500 in damages. What I would recommend is setting traps up, and I did videos on that, so check my YouTube channel, Eagle Eric, and then click playlists, and you can I broke it down into a lot of different categories. But I place them on the inside of the tires, right on the ground, at least 2 or 3 if you're having a big issue. And if you feel they're getting inside to your engine compartment, put one right on top of your battery. Just make sure when you put the hood down, you want your hood down, but maybe not all the way, because the trap might not be able to spring all the way completely. So maybe put a piece of a 2x4 or something in there to prevent the hood from being closed completely. Okay. The other trick, because like I say, if you leave your hood open, you're going to be ruining your wiring and everything yourself because of the UV. Ultraviolet radiation totally disintegrates a lot of plastics and rubbers and stuff, which you have a lot of on your engine. Your wiring, almost anything, your radiator hoses and all that deteriorate very fast in a sunny climate if you're leaving your hood open. So I don't recommend doing that. The mice come out, the rodents come out at night, so it's already dark in there. Leaving your hood open is not going to prevent any critters from getting in there during the day, because they don't come out during the day. At least out in the desert, in most areas, they come out at nighttime. They're nocturnal. So the other trick, which I would recommend, like my engine had a cover over the engine. I recommend, and that's where they like to make their nests. It's underneath that cover, because they like real tight areas that are real dark. So if you have a cover, I would remove it personally. They look nice, makes your engine look nice and neat when you have that cover that plugs in on top of the engine, your engine. But that's where they love it. They love getting in there, and they can get in there even during, it's really dark under that hood. So even if you had your hood open, if that engine cover's on there, they can hang out in there during the day, and be totally in the dark and feel nice and comfortable. So remove those covers, but keep your hood closed. Okay, so one of the issues I was having, if I had a mouse problem, either saw mice going in, moving around, like I'd lift the hood up and you see something moving around, that's a rodent. I set up traps, typically at least 3. You want to set up as many as you can. But don't set traps up unless you have a rodent problem. You definitely know you have rodent issues. because otherwise you're drawing them in at that point, because you're baiting the traps and that's going to bring them in. So don't do it unless you definitely know you have a rodent problem. You start seeing everything's getting gnawed, not just on your vehicle, it could be anything out in your campsite. Then you have to do something, because it's just going to get worse. So now the issue was I was losing my traps. You know, I'd set up on average 3 traps when I had a rodent issue, and on average 1 out of 3, sometimes 2 out of 3 traps would be gone the next day. Okay, so I'm going to show you a way to prevent you from losing your traps. So you got to be one step ahead of these rodents, and some of them can be pretty smart. They can, you know, and I'm like scratching my head. I'd walk around for 100 yards looking for my traps, and I couldn't find them. So the reason is, you know, I thought initially maybe the mouse, when he set off the trap, he got caught on the tail and he ran off with the trap, and maybe brought it down into his hole. They live underground, you know, out here in the desert. But the more I thought about it, the more because the holes are so small, I didn't think these traps could actually get pulled down into there. And what I figured out is when the trap gets set and you kill the mouse or the rat, then the night critters come out, the coyote and the fox, and that's what they eat, is mice. That's one of their main staples out here in the desert, because there isn't much to eat. So they're just grabbing, you know, after the mouse is killed, they smell the dead mouse, they come up, it's in the trap, and they just grab it and take off. So that's why you're not going to find your traps anywhere near your campsite. You know, coyote or fox is going to take it, you know, maybe a quarter-mile away before he finally munches down on it. The other thing we have out here are night owls. And the same thing, they're a predator, and they go after mice. And they sit on top of the telephone poles and any high trees and stuff like that. And so they're going to swoop down and grab that mouse. And your mouse trap is going to fly away, literally. And, you know, it might be half a mile away by the time that owl lands. So, okay, here's my trick, okay? This is the way you will catch more mice, or at least you won't lose your traps. Now, you don't, out in the desert, you don't need big rat traps. These small ones, the Victors are popular, some others, Mouse Guard, I found the Victor is more sensitive than this one. As you can see, it's a little different design on the trap itself. Okay, and what I do is I stake them down with a 10-inch stake into the ground. I drill a hole through the corner, tie a rope on there, and then get this type of stakes, tent stakes that have a hole in it. Okay, and then you're just going to stake this down the ground, and you want this rope to be very short, maybe 6 inches at most. You don't want it 5 feet long, because an animal takes off with that mouse that's in the trap, he's going to have so much energy going, that coyote or that owl is going to be flying off, and he could yank out your stake or damage the trap or whatever. Make your rope real short, like you see here. Now, what I use, the other trick on your traps, other than tying them down in one way or the other, there's different ways to do it, but you know, I like these big 10-inch stakes. I pound them down into the ground, and I don't think anything's going to be able to pull them out. It hasn't. So the other thing is, I used to use peanut butter. It's a very attractive thing, and people use cheese for centuries, literally, to catch mice and rodents. But they can just lick away at peanut butter and not set the trap off. I've had that also happen. So here's the trick. If you want to catch all the mice, so a lot of times half of my traps wouldn't even be set off. and all the food's gone. So to catch 99% of your mice and rodents and you know, rats and stuff, you want to get hard food. Okay, now I use salmon flavored cat food, which is, it's a hard food. It's real hard, and you stick it on the trap part. Then all you have to do is get a wire tie. Save your wire ties. Wrap this around the food onto the metal there really good. So now the mouse or rat comes in and he can't lick this because it's a hard food, and he's going to try yanking it, and that's going to set the trap off every time. So you're not going to have a bunch of traps with no food on them and they haven't even sprung, you know, basically. So that's what you do. On this one, it's hard to see in there. I like the Victors also because there's a little hole right here where you can run the wire through that and then over the cat treat. And like I say, fish, anything fishy smelling on the cat treats is very potent. It really, the rats love that fishy smell. Okay, so I like these better, and I feel they're more sensitive. So you can see a wire ties holding on one of these little you know, cat food things. They're not going to get away with eating food for free and you come out and the trap's not even set. This will work because now they got to grab it and really cause a lot of force. They're going to set the trap off. No way they can grab that food out of there. A simple thing, wire tie works. So keep your wire ties. And tent stakes are cheap. So, you know, that's all you have to do. Like I say, you drill a hole, simple thing, get a drill bit, drill a hole on the corner where the trap itself is, not on this side. You want the rope on this side. And then, you know, just tie that up. You can see, and then you're staking it down. Nothing's going to take off with your trap. I don't care what, if it's a coyote or a fox or a night owl. So anyway, those are my tips. You want to save money on losing your traps or being frustrated and seeing none of your traps have been sprung and all the food's gone. That's what I recommend. If you're especially not always in the desert. I mean, you can find rodents anywhere, but certainly this isn't going to be for indoor use. You won't have that problem with predators coming inside your house and taking your traps. This is just for outdoor use, where you're camping in a forest or a desert or a campground, wherever it might be. Okay, hopefully that gave you some tips. It's very cheap. You have everyone has wire ties. The traps out in the desert, you don't have to get real big rat traps like you'll see that are, I don't know, 3 or 4 times that bigger than this. And the reason is, out in the desert, the rats don't get real big. They almost look about the size of a mouse that you would catch in the Northeast. And the reason is they don't get real big like in the Northeast. They're about the size of a big mouse. Just because of lack of food. There's almost no food out here. So everything's very small. Even like the fox, or half the size of the fox you'd see in the northeastern states. They just have very little food, so they're almost pygmies out here. And so are the rats. I did one video where I caught 2 rats to show you the big teeth, the buck teeth in the front. These little ones will kill them, no problem. You don't need big huge traps. If you want to put a big huge trap down, you can, but you don't need to. So that's my recommendation. Don't set up traps unless you have an issue, and if you see them in your engine compartment, set them up on the base of your tires, on the inside of the tires, because they feel more protected. not on the outside, on the inside of each of your tires, and then maybe one in the battery, right on top of the battery, or in the engine compartment. And you'll just have to figure out a different way to tie your trap, you know, to something in the engine compartment. So using a stake, you're going to have to tie it to something else. And, you know, if the hood's closed, coyotes and fox won't get in there, and the owl won't get in there. So you probably don't even have to tie down your trap if it's inside under the hood of your engine compartment. I've never had any lost traps when I put them on the inside. Like I said, just make sure the hood, the trap has plenty of room for the spring mechanism. You know, it's got to be, you know, if you're putting this on your battery, you got to make sure that the hood doesn't prevent this, doesn't go up and hit the hood and not close all the way. Okay, that's my tip of the day. Eagle Eric out in the Sonoran Desert, signing off.